Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Anime Reactions, and this is going to be my review for Kamigami no Asobi episode 9. This episode is focused more on Apollo, and is actually going over a story that they actually changed for this episode, because in the actual story of Apollo and Cassandra... Hang on. Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to kind of skim the story to make sure I got my facts right. Facts! Considering this is about mythology here. Because there are probably several tellings of the story, but this is the one that I think most people are familiar with. Cassandra was was essentially a princess of Troy, and obviously very beautiful. But then again, I think if any of these stories talked about when the woman was, well, not so much, I don't think that any of this stuff would happen, because the gods usually would go after beautiful women. Anyway, Apollo wanted her, and go on to your room, Jackson, or go in the living room, I don't care which. Oh boy. Jackson broke his TV. And by broke it, he didn't break it, he just hit it, he threw a ball and it hit the TV, and now you can't see anything on the TV anymore. So it's kind of broke. And I thought that it was a new TV my parents had bought when we had that the power surge on the house that kind of fried a few TVs. No, apparently this was my old sister's old TV, so it doesn't have a warranty. So I actually went online and found a TV that's very affordable, same size as the one that they've got, and has the same freaking remote, for God's sake. For very cheap, about $130, actually almost $140 with the protection plan, so yeah, I'm probably gonna get it for him. But I'm gonna wait a little bit to tell for my mom to get it, so that my mom knows it's coming, you know. Anyway, he tired too. He wants cereal, but Grandma told them no more food tonight. Anyway, Apollo wanted her, and he tried to make advances on her. She told him she essentially didn't want to at first, and then she told him that she would only do it if he gave her the gift of prophecy, which is a very rare gift, and that's something that only he can do, because, well, or not really only he can do, but only a god could do, essentially. So he did it, and when she got what she wanted, she rejected him. And Apollo cursed her, so that any prophecy that she would make would come true, but nobody would believe her when she gave the prophecy. So essentially, like, she could predict a natural disaster that would come, and nobody would believe her, and then it would come. So, yeah. So essentially, this story kind of paints him in more of an assholery story, so that's probably why they changed it, because Apollo's a nice guy in the show. So, they obviously changed it to where he did give her the gift of prophecy, but it was because they both wanted to be together, and he thought that by giving her this gift, she would be like him and not die. She got the gift, and she saw apparently a future, and it shocked her enough to where she broke down crying, and later on we find out that she took her own life. And we keep on seeing this through dreams that Yui would have of the stuff that happened in the past. And I was like, who is this? Because at first I didn't know who it was, but then later on he was calling for her, and I was like, oh, it's Cassandra, now I know what's going on. But yeah. Later on, this is affecting Apollo in a very negative way, to the point where the shackle on him, it turns black. And Zeus essentially says that if those things turn black, it means that there's darkness in their heart, and if they can't get rid of it, it's not going to be good. And Yui ends up running into Cassandra's ghost, because Hades actually does say that that there is such a thing as ghosts, because, yeah, they still have unfinished business, and they could possibly want to harm those that ended up sending them there in the first place. But this is not the case. Cassandra uses Yui like a puppet, sort of, because she can't speak to Apollo normally, so she has to speak through Yui in order to get her point across. So she ends up telling Apollo that she didn't want him to be hurt, and that the future that she saw was, even despite the divine gift, she saw a future of her dying and leaving him alone. And she didn't want that. And I don't know why she took her own life then. I guess she couldn't handle the fact that the future will come to pass. I don't know. But she didn't want him to be grieving like this entire time and hurting himself and suffering in the process. She wants him to move on and forgive himself for this. So thankfully, she's able to get through to him, and he goes back to normal, thankfully. No more sleepwalking, no more having weird visions, and Yui having no more weird visions, and thankfully Cassandra's finally able to move on and go to the afterlife. Or go down to the underworld, I should say. Anyway. But yeah, I'm glad they actually featured a story that I'm familiar with. Because I do like mythology, but they barely scratch the surface on all this stuff. Especially considering that there was only 12 episodes in the last 2 episodes. The next episode is a filler episode, sort of. And the next episodes after that are essentially covering the crazy stuff going on with Balder and fixing that. So, yeah, we don't get to really cover some of the characters. Anyway, I'll get to work on all this. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I will see you all next time.